In this day and age, as it has been for thousands of years, many people out there are looking for more and more ways to commodify some part of themselves. And I am no different. Oftentimes it is that where a child sees a toy, a parent sees tea leaves for a potential career. It is also often the case, it seems, that as some of us move into and past young adulthood, things like our hobbies and talents sometimes become skills and qualifications to put down onto a resume. Sometimes qualities and characteristics that were decided for us at birth open doors in some places while closing doors in others. The game of life is fraught with chance. All of this I'm sure you know more than a bit about. We're all playing the game one way or another, and I'm not here to give my hot take on it today. I also won't go too far talking about this because I think that to do so would be something better left for another day and for another arena of words. All I'll say now is that we all have our own thoughts on this game, what our next move is, how to play it, and how it should be played. We all have our own take on how much or how little of our skills, our talents, our interests, our qualities, our relationships, our principles, ourselves we can invest in and then commodify. As for myself, I'm making a decision right now to introduce some sort of order into my life and to get some practice in with a tool of mine that sits languishing by the wayside most of the time. I'm going to try and write and then read aloud some things on a somewhat regular basis. More specifically, I'm going to take advantage of my voice, something that I didn't seriously consider until relatively recently. My voice has been a somewhat consistent through line in my life. In my grade school days, I often got nice comments from friends about it. I appreciated them because they gave me a kind of relief that, I think, came from an idea that I could be proud of at least one aspect of my body. And for some grade schoolers, a small compliment can go a long way indeed. At the back of my head, though, I suspected that it would only be a matter of time before all the other boys finished puberty up. That is to say, deep voice privilege, if I may call it that, was something that middle school me enjoyed, but it was also a privilege that, I assumed, would ultimately be fleeting. Well, it didn't quite turn out that way, and to keep a short story even shorter, I now know that there's a lot more to a voice than its timbre. A lot of people helped me realize this. It was because of their words of encouragement and appreciation that I had more confidence in myself to lend my voice to things beyond personal projects and party tricks. But still, and to get back to what I was saying at the beginning of this script, I was and still am in doubt as to whether or not I can do something serious with my voice. This doubt comes from several considerations, both practical and otherwise. Quantitatively, my recording environment is less than ideal. Maybe you can hear it now. There isn't a single place in my home that can reach the noise floor demanded by several voice acting, voiceover, and narration industry standard workflows. And the space I'm currently sitting in is covered in that sort of amateur acoustic treatment that lends my recordings that signature beginner's boominess, which certainly doesn't complement my voice at all. Qualitatively, I know that I have a long way to go. Performance is performance. Intonation is intonation. Things like these can be developed, practiced, trained, and so on and so forth. And so I know that I mustn't let my fear of failure hold me back. What bothers me more are all of the subjective characteristics of my voice that sometimes I feel as if I have less control over. If I record for a while, and especially if I'm not properly hydrated, my pronunciation and enunciation fall off a cliff, and my voice starts to make those popping and clicking sounds, often without me noticing at all. I think I now have a slightly better appreciation of how much work it probably takes to maintain your body as a fashion model, an athlete, a tradesperson, an actor, and so on and so forth. The mind is willing, but the flesh is weak. I speak of industries and professional standards, and one might reasonably question why I need to go through gatekeepers and similar intermediaries at all in order to do what I want to do. A fair question. You, listening to me now, should be proof enough of what I've decided on. What have I decided on? It's not ASMR, I can tell you that much. Not that I have a problem with ASMR, I listen to it all the time, but allow me to get a bit pedantic for a second and say that I just don't think my voice is too given toward inducing that autonomous sensory meridian response. I know that for some people, ASMR has become a catch-all term for stuff that is relaxing in general, regardless of whether or not it gives them the tingles. But for me, and for now, I'll elect to stay out of that community. Am I doing informational content then? You know, a while ago, an acquaintance of mine recommended to me that I start a YouTube channel centered around reading Wikipedia articles aloud. I gave it some thought. It would be straightforward. It would be low risk. It would certainly be less risky than doing research and then putting together video essay scripts from a variety of sources. And even unscrupulous people like those can get off scot-free when it's revealed just how factually inaccurate or plagiarized their work is. Indeed, information-forward content is not very risky for the one putting it out there. It would also be, however, not very fun. To state your sincere opinion is always a risk, even in the company of friends. To do so online carries unique risks. But I say that to shy away from doing so would be a contravention of all the things I've been telling myself to believe in up until now. Not to get too dramatic, of course. It's just I'd like to remain engaged. And for me, being engaged usually means acknowledging and then leaning into my subjectivity. If that also means acknowledging my stupidity, my naivete, my incorrectness, my wrongness on certain things, if that means receiving critique and criticism from you, then so be it. For it is always good practice and good form to do so, no matter how poo-poo it all feels. For now, however, I think that beginning is the first and most important step for me. I have been too afraid to begin for too long a time now. Several people close to me have seen this fear I have. I know that they know that I know, and it makes me a bit embarrassed, a bit ashamed, but all the more reason to begin, because then the shame shall fade away, and I, hopefully, will be left with something better in exchange. So now let us make a beginning.